Good day, everyone. Welcome back to the Doc of Detox show. I'm Dr. Darrell Wolfe, and today's show is 5G and Crystal Radionics with Peter Webb. Peter Webb is a master with all things nature and has a profound connection with frequencies. He is here today to tell us about how we can protect ourselves from harmful frequencies and how to generate positive ones all the way down to the cellular level. Now, understand something, everyone. So I think that if you watch my shows already, you will know that the biggest step and the most important step that you will ever make is knowing that you are an electromagnetic light energy being. That's right. And you'll also know, if you're awake, that when our computers were created, our iPads, our phones, the lighting in our house, in the malls, at the dentist's office, all of these are blue light. You'll know that they did not have to do that. You'll know that why you have to protect yourself is you're going to have to protect yourself from those who say they want to help you. You're going to have to protect yourself from your own government because they don't work for you. We're going to have to take massive personal action on this planet. We're not even talking about 4G anymore. We're talking about 5G. We're talking about Wi-Fi. We're talking about all the cell phones that if you could see all the cell phone frequencies flying by you, through you, you'd be running for cover. The reality is that this is a frequency war. And the reality is all these frequencies and even this blue light is damaging your brain and your gut. That's right. It's damaging your good bacteria, and your good bacteria are your immune system. It makes up 85% of your immune system. That gut-brain connection is so important. And guess what? When you don't have it, you don't think straight. But when you've got gut-brain connection, that means that your bacteria are healthy, which means you're healthy. That means you think straight. So understand this. If you're not willing to protect your internal environment and your external environment, then know that you are being attacked. Know this, that those that say they want to help us are not. Those that are in power are not helping us. They are stealing our power by messing us with our frequencies, messing around with our frequencies, because never forget that you are a light energy being, and when you feed your spirit, you heal your body. And understand this, every block that you have in your body slows your frequencies down, slows the healing of your cells, slows the nutrition from coming in, slows your cells from detoxifying. So let's talk to a great friend of mine, and I think he's a genius, and his name is Peter Webb. And understand something. He's out to help the animals. He's out to help the gardens. He's out to help you and your children. And I think we're doing a crackerjack job. What do you think, Peter?
Yes, we are, but the general public is still lagging so far behind. And what I wanted to start with was to understand the environment of the planet. The Earth has ley lines that cross backwards and forwards. They're the main lines that bring toxins from other countries into Canada and the United States. There are also smaller lines called the Hartmann grid and the Curry net, which crisscross. And this is how our technology works. We use those natural Earth lines to carry the frequencies around the world. These lines are actually going up to the height of gravity and down equal into the ground. And birds migrate on these lines. They will get on one of these lines and they'll just go straight south or come north. Butterflies do the same thing. These lines are also supported by sea currents in the oceans, and also trade. Some people call it trade winds. We call it the other line. Anyway, these energy lines are flowing all around the world, and what happens with people in China burning significant amount of coal and carbon fuels, our air is polluted with mercury, aluminum, and other heavy metals. I like to look back to in the 50s when we were on the farm and we used to spray the flies in the cow barn with DDT. never were we ever educated that this stuff would go all over the planet. But at some point in time, they found DDT in the Arctic where it had never been put before. So this is how these pollutants migrate all around the world. Even the fires on the west coast of the United States, that smoke is being seen over Europe. It just catches on the jet stream and it goes. And that's why even aircraft use the jet stream going east, where they can cut 2 hours off the trip because they've got a tailwind or the wind's behind them. So there are other countries that are also equally bad with the pollution, India and Russia. But for us, it's coming out of China. The mercury, it gets into our bodies, it gets into our lungs. It also, we have blood cells that have little portholes for the oxygen to go into. It blocks them off, so it's reducing the amount of oxygen getting into your blood, as is 5G, and also the coronavirus, which is all those things are interfering with the blood oxygen. So our whole mission has been to keep the oxygen levels higher and in a frequency form that can go right into our whole body. So from there, we can, with all our products, we can rejuvenate them. Now, one of the things that we are able to do, we have the revitalizer, which you see behind me. This is primarily an agricultural device, but it is also pulling greenhouse gases from the upper atmosphere down to the earth and down 5,000 feet into the earth. All these pollutants that we're looking at, from like nitrogen and sulfur and all the other hydrogen sulfide and mercury, and they're all based in organics. They all come from an organic source in the beginning. It doesn't matter whether it's ammonia coming from the urine of animals. That's as a result of digesting protein. But see, in the atmosphere, there's 78% nitrogen, which is also put into protein in plants. And then after the animals digest it, it comes back as nitrogen again into the atmosphere. So with this, what the government, they want to tax carbon, greenhouse gases. But in reality, if we use the technology we have today, we can harvest all the greenhouse gases and put them to an incredibly important state to put back in the soil, to clean the soil, the water, the air. We have that technology now, but again, there isn't the incentive to look at other ways of doing it, other than the way they do now, is put a tax on it. But we do have big corporations in the U.S. now that have tried this our technology for 4 years, and they're now working in a cooperative form with farmers, where the corporation pays half the price of the revitalizer and the farmer pays the other half that way. But once you see what happened, I'll give you an example. We have a farmer that raised cucumbers. And when we started 4 years ago with the revitalizer, he was getting 15 tons of cucumbers a year. He was using 40 applications of pesticides. Then the following year, we got to 20 tons. Then the following year, next year, we got to 25. This year, he had 36 tons an acre with no pesticides at all. And this is where we have to break this habit of chemical agriculture and go to energy-based agriculture, where everything is put into the soil that the plants need. And of course, in doing this, the value of the crops is significantly better. You've got higher nutrition and better shelf life. And if the farmers could only adapt this, which we have enough of them down here now, they are able to make more money using this technology than going the way they were taught at agriculture school. Coming back now to where we are today, and what we found is there is very little difference between a plant's need, an animal's need, or our need. We all are in the same ecosystem, and if there's a pollutant in that system, it affects everything. So, this mercury doesn't stay in the air. It gets in the water. It's in the food we eat. And so we've worked on a way of getting it out of the human body. And we also, but if we can harvest it in the atmosphere, we can neutralize it so it's not going back into the soil or the water. We've done a lot of tests with this, and in animals and plants, they tell me whenever I get a new frequency, the first thing I do, I put it in the system, and then I will check the plant. So we have plants in our office, and if their vitality goes up, it stays. Then we check it on other animals like poultry and cattle, and if it goes up, and it stays in. If any of them go down, we take it out. Just to let you look at what a radionics machine looks like. This is one of the ones that we have many of. Each one of these dials is setting a frequency, and in our manuals we have probably around 5,000 different frequencies. But a lot of times when the frequency doesn't exist, you can cold scan this. You turn it. This plate is a rub plate, and this is where a lot of radionics people get it unable to make it work. You have oil on your fingers, so to use this properly, you use some window cleaner, and you just wipe your hands, and you wipe this, and when you hit the point where the element you're looking for, your finger literally is called a galvanic stick. It literally sticks there. So this is how we find frequencies now. Rather than have all these machines just individual, what we take is a pure quartz crystal, and we implant the frequency from this machine into the quartz crystal. Then we have a well like this that we put all these crystals in, and that carries stores all those frequencies as long as we need them. But every month we go into our instruments and we check to see if there are any of the frequencies that can change, because the earth is changing, our environment is changing because of all of the man-made frequencies bouncing backwards and forwards that are interfering with plants and animals. We have to adjust to keep up with what we're doing today, because as we go from 3G to 4G and then to 5G, you're working with totally different elements. And as far as measuring those, this meter is one I just bought. It's a tri-field TF2, and that measures the 5G, and it also measures all of the electrical. Like I've got it on electrical now, and there's nothing recording on the meter.
Which is showing that it's actually neutralizing the EMFs, the negative EMFs for us, right?
Yeah, that's right.
Now, one second, if you could, Peter. So, everybody, I want you to understand that radionics, it may be the first time you've heard of this, but radionics is an actual verified science. So, and the reality is a lot of you might find it hard to wrap your head around all these things that Peter's saying, but the reality is this is more true than pretty well anything else you can talk about, because like I said at the beginning, what did I say? Until you recognize that you are electromagnetic light energy being, you haven't even recognized or woke up to your true self. So the reality is this, it's all about frequency. The invisible creates the physical, the invisible creates the visible, and understand that. So a frequency can harm you, but a frequency can absolutely heal you. And whether you're talking about our bodyguards, or whether you're talking about the guardian for the garden, or whether you're talking about the protector for the house, or the defender that will do a 5,000 square foot building. Yeah, think about that. So the reality is, just as you are now wrapping your head around how 5G can come in and actually blind, it can actually destroy your bacteria, it can actually sterilize young boys, and it can actually cause damage to the fallopian tubes of young girls and ovaries. We can actually take frequencies that will negate these harmful things and actually protect us. Am I right or wrong, Peter?
You're absolutely right. And strangely enough, I bought a product from the States that was developed 20 years ago, and it was radionically programmed, and that's to get rid of the fungus out of the body. So the other thing people don't realize that mercury actually flips your hormones. So in a male, you're producing more estrogen. In a female, you're producing more testosterone. And this is something that is becoming more evident as you see more and more people that are kind of, different. But anyway, it does. It literally affects your whole hormone balance. So it's important that we get this stuff out of your body.
And how are you going to do that, Peter? Can you tell people how you're going to use radionics to get this out of their body? Because I know, like I said, it's going to be a little hard to wrap your head around this.
Yeah. Well, we started off initially with the radionic frequency of the manual, which was more aimed at the metallic level of mercury, which was, we were dealing with people in California that in the gold mining, they used mercury to purify the gold. And of course, the mercury got into the water table and into the aquifers. It's everywhere. And so I kept moving along. And then finally, I had to develop my own frequencies. I got the mercury in a gas stage, where when it's initially new, where it's coming over in a gas stage from other countries. So we can get the frequency and put that, and of course we get the frequency, then we flip it around, the numbers around, and it takes that mercury out of your body. The same thing happens with lead. So we're also backing it up with natural products like milk thistle oil, which is well known for detoxing the liver. And then we have also black oil and other oils that we're using.
The frequencies, you're using the frequencies of these oils, right?
Yeah, we take the oil, get the frequency, and then we put it in. And that's how we develop as we keep moving along. And, one of the things I never really came up with until I started getting some ideas that I had fungus in my body. So again, I did research and I found products that would get the fungus out. And I take the frequencies of them and put them into the pendants, and everything we do, everything has the same frequency.
So all the frequencies of everything, and we're going to go through all the different frequencies, everyone that's actually in there. Did you know that we actually have the frequency of SAC calcium in there? Did you know we have the frequency of our infinite iodine in there? We have the frequency of our fulvic in there, and we also have the frequency of our frankincense in there. So understand, if I can say this, Peter, then you take it back, okay? Yeah. Everything you eat, everything you drink leaves the body, only the frequency stays. So what if you actually had something like a bodyguard or a protector or a guardian or a defender? These are different crystals that we use for different applications, but could actually be giving off these frequencies all the time. And they don't run out, do they? It's not like a battery. No. They don't break down. We'll talk about that in a minute, but go ahead, Peter.
Yeah, so coming back to the humic acid and fulvic acid are really important. Our carbon is, we are actually carbon, the human body is carbon, so are animals and plants. So carbon, it builds our muscle, it builds our bones. The carbon works in our digestive system to support the bacteria that produce enzymes and enzymes and I was trying to think the other. Anyway, they working, and at the same time, the carbon that is not used for the bacteria or the other elements that we're talking about is carrying heavy metals and toxins out of our body. It's coming out every time we go and defecate. So what we know now is that probably the most important element in our environment is to have and the carbon, it's various forms of it. There's many forms. It starts off as CO2, then it moves into the next stage, a solids phase. That's the one that we're using. Plus, we're also using the one phase just before it turns to sugar. So we don't want to get sugar in our bodies, but we can use the carbon prior to that. You see, carbon will go down through sugar, oil, coal, and finally into diamonds. And what we've realized by working with the whole ecosystem of the Earth, everything has to be in balance. And that's why if we can take all these contaminants, like let's take sewage. We have 4 of the guardians in sewage lagoons, and they're breaking down the waste in the sewage lagoon and getting rid of the smell. But
okay, Peter, can you show what a guardian is? I can show over here, but do you want to show?
Here
them?
we are. I got you.
There's the guardian, everyone.
Yeah.
Lift it up a little bit more, sir. There you go.
Yeah. So this one.
And that's cleaning up the sewage.
Yeah. See the way they do it now, they buy bio bags to put the solids in. Those bio bags are $100,000. So in the first 2 months, this unit reduced the solids by a whole 50%.
Wow.
But by bringing in the oxygen and the carbon, it picks up all of the antibiotics, estrogen, chemicals, pesticides, everything that goes into the water through our bodies is being taken down into the earth, out of the way of, right out of the water table, the body of water. So the water coming out of those sewage treatment lagoons is pure water. It's not contaminated with all that they really do today is take out the solids, and the rest that's in the solution goes into the water. You see the fish in the rivers, they become part male and part female. I'm talking about the St. Lawrence Seaway, where there's a lot of this stuff going down.
The corruption, Peter, is beyond. It's beyond. Yeah. And understand, this is why we have to take massive action to protect ourselves. But Peter, can you also, what would this do for somebody's septic tank? And what would this do for some? This is called a guardian, everyone. So it also is used in gardens. And how big a garden can you use this in, or how big a septic tank could I use this guardian in?
Well, we've got these now on a lot of farms, and they're doing 70 acres. Now, if you only got 2 acres, I just sent one to a grower in Quebec, organic grower, and he's only got 2 acres of vegetables. But it'll stay on that property. It won't go on to the neighbors. But the interesting thing is, if we have one on a farm doing 70 acres, but if we put a second one in, it goes to 200 acres. And we had a dairy farmer that had, he's down in Illinois, and he had scum on his water tank. Every day he had to empty it and scrub all that slime off. One day after this was installed on the farm, he never had that scum anymore. The oxygen cleaned it, and actually I'll give you another example of, we had a cabbage farm in Quebec. They grow hundreds of acres of cabbage for coleslaw. And the aquifer got E. coli, staphylococcus, and coliforms in it. And we had one of these revitalizers on, so we put one of these in, and within about a week, the water was clean. Now, his cabbage was already infected with E. coli, so he couldn't sell it. But after we cleaned the aquifer. Then he irrigated his cabbage, and all of the E. coli was gone. He marketed everything. And the other thing interesting about all these technologies, particularly the big ones, they have a thing called primal water. And what that does, it allows water deep in the soil to wick up to the surface. So in a drought, your plants keep growing as if there's moisture there. Well, there is moisture. It's being pulled to the surface. We had one marijuana grow up that had too many plants for his two greenhouses. So he stuck them in the woods and left them there. And when he went back in the fall, they had no water, they had no fertilizer, but they were almost the same as the ones that were in the greenhouse that got daily water and daily fertilizer. So it shows that.
Why is that? Because of nature?
Well, nature, the water was being wicked up into the pots from the forest floor, and of course, all the other things that we put in that's benefiting these plants. You realize now we have marijuana grow-ups in Quebec that are getting 3 times the amount of buds and oil that they ever had before when we put in the green one in the small grow-ups.
Peter, can I ask a question? You say install it. Can you tell people how you install a Guardian, whether it's a septic problem garden or it's farming, whatever it is? How do you because people don't understand when you say you install it.
Okay, installing means the farmer takes it and puts it in his house, in the living room or somewhere in the house, or he can put it in the dairy barn, in the office in the dairy barn.
What about the garden? What if it was like you said, it was a 70-acre garden?
Well, you'd still put it in your house. You'd have it in your house. That's where it's safe. And the thing is with this, it only goes to your land, so it will elongate to go to the other end of the land, where normally it would create a circle, but that's how it works. It just stretches out and goes to the land that you farm, and then the same as your garden. It'll only do your garden unless you, like myself, I have an agreement with both my neighbors on each side that we do all that property. Now, coming back to your question, if you're in a house and you use the protector
for the house,
it's also doing your septic tank. You got to remember, this is going down 200 feet in the soil. It's actually putting oxygen into that septic tank on a day. Now, the only thing you need to do occasionally is put in bacteria, which you buy from the hardware store or Walmart or wherever you want to buy it. You put a pouch in once every 2 weeks to keep the bacteria up, because there are products in your septic system if you're putting your laundry and there's bleach going in, and maybe even some chlorine from the water. And this is one of the other aspects of what we're doing with all these products. We're putting in the chlorine frequencies out of phase to remove them. We've been doing this for years in water machines that we made send them down into the U.S. They remove the chlorine out of the water before it goes into the house. But we've now got that into these ones, because we know that so much chlorine is being used now for sanitizing offices and buildings and homes, that it actually, it was a company in South Dakota that alerted me that the chlorine, when they showered, it gave them a headache in the shower. So we got one of these down to them, and it solved that problem.
So, Peter, if you can, so everyone, the Guardian is for the garden, and the Protector is actually for the house. And the Protector, and it'll protect not just your septic, okay, not just the greenery in the house, but what it's going to do is it's going to protect you against what? 5G, EMF, Wi-Fi, dirty electricity, smart meters.
All those, including homes that have basements where there is a collection of black mold in those houses. The oxygen will neutralize the black mold. Now, we had one lady that had a lot of black mold in her house, and she was losing weight and losing weight. So and this came from a therapist in the States. They said if you hold the protector on your abdomen 15 minutes to an hour, it'll correct a lot of the things in your body. And she was amazed. She had to come and see me because she said, I'm gaining weight now. I'm feeling so good. I'm actually gaining weight. So it was just getting that black mold out of the body. And these are in the homes. They're getting carpets and the other thing that we have in our homes that are creating a lot of funguses is air conditioning. And same as a car, we don't clean the air conditioning filters as often as we should, or even to that degree in offices and buildings. So, of course, one of the things we also put in is a lot of frequencies for emotions, and so
like that's really needed now, especially if we go into a second lockdown. But can I backtrack and you can bring the emotions back in a second? I just want to tell everybody something. There was major studies done, and they actually used like Wi-Fi, dirty electricity, smart meters. They used actually blue light. And when they found that they introduced these different lights and different frequencies, that actually bacteria would run and hide in the large intestine. And then when they would bring in good frequencies, the bacteria would come out and they would gravitate to the frequencies. So it's frequencies that feed bacteria. It's frequencies that can kill them or it can change them back, just like a petri dish, right? You know, they'll take one bacteria, they'll change the environment, and it'll make it into a toxic bacteria that could kill you. Then they'll change the environment, and they'll change it back into a healthy bacteria. Well, the main thing that does this is frequencies. So understand how powerful frequencies are. And Peter, I just wanted to say this to people, because a lot of people who just come on the shows, they always call me, they always ask. Let me just say this, that we have a money-back guarantee that you're going to see a difference when you start using these products. Even the Bodyguard, people will start to put the Bodyguard on, they'll see their skin change. That's right. You'll see the color of your skin, the wrinkles fade. You'll see a lot of changes in the human body just by wearing the Bodyguard itself. Peter, can you also tell people how big a space the protector will do for a house?
Well, it does a circle of 200 feet across. So it'll do the average house plus the yard. It'll do up to 2,000 or 3,000 square foot house plus the lawn and the yard in behind. And this is a funny thing. We had this gentleman in Michigan that had the protector, and he always watered his garden. And this year he said, I don't understand. He said, I haven't had to water my garden all year. Well, after we explained to him that primal waters bringing this up to the top, then he understood. So anyway, going back to the other big one that we have, which is the Defender. Here is an interesting story. We had a real estate agent that used these to sell houses. she would put it in the house for sale, and it changes the environment. It becomes a loving, calming environment, and people will buy the house. So she got a 54 unit condominium up in the Ottawa Valley that nobody's wanted to buy these condos. So she took one of the Defenders in and put it in the building, and within a very short time, people were coming in and renting their condos, and they had 2 floors left on the top that were going to take 6 months to complete, but the contractors finished in 2 months. So it actually affected the workers on the top. They accomplished far more when they were at peace and calm and in a loving environment. And every apartment in that building is rented out as soon as it was built.
How much area does a Defender take up in a building?
Well, it does the whole building. It does all the environment you want to do. It could be an industrial plant because it still do 50 to 70 acres if it was
Right.
in the open.
Okay.
So it would do a big industrial plant, a school, a hospital, or any of those seniors' homes. These would be a godsend in seniors' homes because coronavirus doesn't like high oxygen environments. And again, it's just getting people to open their minds. We've been so taught one way of doing things, like taking medications and stuff, that I think right now we have to go back to a simpler way of managing our lives. We have to be able to use these frequency generating devices to make the environment conducive to happiness, and this is one of the things that we've even we'll get into that when we get to the frequencies. But then of course we have the pendants, which everybody is they're all programmed the same. It's just the colors. People like different colors, and but again, they are having a very positive effect again on people's energy. See, again, we are light and energy, and what I've found is that we have a lot of darkness in our bodies, and that's why we've had to put in a lot of white light, biophoton light, different forms of light, purple light and golden light, to get the light back into our body. We are light people. We should be, but so many people are just full of, we call it gray color, or just dragged down, and they're not vibrant like they should be.
Yeah,
you see,
the dimmer switch on their frequency valve was turned down. Do you mind if I say something, Peter? Just so everybody knows. You see, this is a Bodyguard. This one's a purple one, and this is the one I wear all the time. But like I said, we have different colors. I just want to show people. Where's my? Okay, a little closer here. All right, we've got aqua blue right here. And then we've got dark royal blue, then we've got pink, and then we've got purple, and then we've got red. And just so everybody knows, I don't have them up here for the show, but we have them for little children now. That's right. We have them made for little children and for pets. And wait until you see if you put one of these on your child, whether you put it on around the baby's ankle, okay? You necessarily wouldn't put it around their neck unless they're a little older and they understand about it, but you can put it around the baby's ankle, or you can put it on your cat or your dog or any other animal, but you'll see the difference in their personality, eh, Peter?
That's correct. Yeah, it makes a big difference. Even our pets, they're very stressed. This is why it came to my farmer drilled a well 880 feet down. And when he used the water coming out, the cattle wouldn't drink it. So he phoned me up and I said, do you know what you've done? You traumatized the water, you traumatized the soil. And at that point, a light went on. I said, wait a minute. Everything on this planet is traumatized. Even is such a thing as giving birth. The woman is traumatized. But we work with poultry farmers, and these birds are raised in barns, and then when they're ready to start laying, they're caught and put in crates, and they're trucked down to another farm where they're again handled and carried into the barn and put in cages. And we have the green one, the big green one, on that farm, and they only lost 12,000 birds. They only lost 2 because we removed the trauma from the birds as soon as they went into the environment. And that's a wonderful gift to be able to do that. And like the farmer says, these chickens are so relaxed and chilled out. They're laying 98, 99% eggs every day. So, it seems that once we bring in these frequencies into an environment, people, animals, plants, they all perform more vigorously, energetically, and so this is what we've come to see, that there are so many areas that we're opening up now that are going to change the way we live, the way we think, and certainly right now the world certainly needs a little bit of good energy to calm things down. Okay?
Absolutely. I mean, that's what we want, and that's what we're doing with doing all this work. And it affects everything. These crystals actually affect the food in your home. They affect everything. They affect every organism in your home. And understand something. I know it's new, so just know that these are all backed with our guarantee that you're going to see a difference. And I'm going to tell you something else, and I'll mention it at the end as well. We're going to be putting this show's going up, but just understand this: we've put it up just before Black Friday, because I'm going to tell you something. That's our gift to everybody. Black Friday, all these crystal products, and even the revitalizer for the farms are actually going to be going on sale. So if you want to take advantage of it, you only have a couple of days to wait, and then it'll be Black Friday. So, and maybe it'll brighten up your Black Friday. Go ahead, Peter.
Okay, well, actually, we've also been using the protector, stick it in the refrigerator, and it keeps actually you have to turn the temperature down on up, turn the temperature up in the refrigerator, because it creates colder, by putting oxygen in it creates colder air. So, but it also lengthens the life of your dairy products or vegetables, whatever you're putting in, having that oxygen in that, and hydrogen, and in the refrigerator. But at the same time, it's still going to go out over your whole house. I mean, it comes out through the refrigerator. So it's just one more application for it. But yes, the pets would really, we know the pets really respond to these little pendants. They calm right down. And again, aggression is not common to a lot of animals. They just become aggressive from all the energies that are being thrown at them. So what I'd like to go on now, and so, like we say, everything has a frequency. And so we have the frequencies remove the trauma, and we put a light in with that. But we also have frequencies that allow us to remember, respect, relax, refresh, regenerate, restore, reset, and rejoice. And of course, some of the best ones we put in is love and joy and happiness into the thing. And now, as far as we're not making any claims on the COVID virus, but Cuba, they are a very poor country, and they don't have pharmaceuticals in Cuba, but they have a lot of homeopathic products, which are made from plants, immunical boosters. And we got one from them. It's called Previn Gover, and that's what they use for viruses. So there are so many viruses in our environment. We are also putting in the calcium and magnesium and humic acid, and of course we have black oil seed and many other. We have the biophoton light, and we have another series of lights that's healing. You got to bear in mind that these mercuries are not only coming from China, they're coming out of the tailpipes of all the vehicles. And New York has the highest level of mercury in North America. But they're also light bulbs. A lot of the lights, of fluorescent lighting and those squiggly lights, all had mercury in them. And when we were in the animal nutrition, they put mercury vapor lighting in the feedlot, and all of the cattle had mercury in their flesh. So we they had to change the mercury lighting to sodium lighting, and that solved the problem. So this is how frequencies can get into our bodies. And of course, back then, they also a lot of the street lighting were mercury vapor lighting, but they quickly got rid of them and put in the sodium. But
Peter, do you remember?
yeah.
Do you remember years ago when people would call you a health nut because you were trying to eat organic, or you were trying to get like pure lighting, or I mean, today, everybody, the majority, wake up, wake up. You deserve purity in your life. You deserve purity in your body, and everything is vibrational. And understand something: the food corporations, okay, they're not interested in making healthy food. The healthcare system is not interested in having health. So the reality is, unless you're going to take massive personal action, Peter, where do you think people stand?
Well, I know we had, I'm just going to go back to the farm again. We had a dairy farmer that was having a lot of problems with his cattle. And, calves dying at birth and losing condition. You got to really remember that these frequencies kill the beneficial bacteria off in our intestinal tract, the ones that support our emotions and our whole body. We're every cell, human cell, there's about 8 of bacteria, and we even know that if the farmer switches from fermented silage to unfermented silage, there are 2 distinctive different bacteria that break those down. So the cattle, they go into a slump until the body can start generating the bacteria to handle that particular food. Now, but we put the protectors into the dairy barn and solved the problem. And we told the farm, this is 5G coming from miles away. And what happens? The salesman come in from the telecom company and said, we'll give you a monthly check if we can put a 5G broadcaster on top of your silo. And it's a 12-year, and he signed it. And I said, oh my God. But that's when I got this meter, and I went down and I went into the fields, and I went up beside the silo and all through the barn, and it was at 0. We had blocked it all. From that, when you get that tower that close on top, it was a relay from one village to the next. But nevertheless,
what did you block it with?
I took the one of these in and put it right in the barn.
A Defender?
Defender, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but right now, we're getting so many calls from dairy farmers where they say our cows are not producing, they're losing, they're dropping in production. Well, we know as more and more of these towers go up, it's having an effect on, and going back to the sewage.
Same thing with breast milk. Same thing with breast milk. You know what? We've had so many women that are breastfeeding, and they say the same thing. And then we get them to get the Bodyguard, and then we get them to get the protector in the house. And guess what? It's not the only thing. We tell them a few other things to do, like get the cork out and because most of them are pretty constipated. But the reality is that we see the same thing with humans. So remember, when Peter's talking about animals all the time, it's because he's using that as the research kind of barometer, right, Peter?
That's correct, yeah. And, we've from our experience with even marijuana now, that we're seeing incredible amount of the buds on the top, the trichomes. And I bought 3 seeds, and this is interesting. The first seed I put in the pot, they took weeks before they came up. And then because we worked on new frequencies, and then I put 3 seeds in the garden, and they were up in 2 days. And this is what the people in the grow-up say, wait a minute, we used to wait a week or more for the seed to come up. Now they're coming up in 2 days. And we had 3 plants in our garden, and they drew so much attention. We had to pull them out because nobody had ever seen marijuana with so many pollen, the males would just pollen from the bottom to the top, and the branches are so big. But people are wanting to come down and have the pollen, and we said no, 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 no. We're not into. This was just a thing I wanted to see, and that. So, but going back to that, we grow potatoes, and again, we don't have any bugs on the garden at all because of the DC positive and negative, and this is where we are electrical, but we're not AC current. What is we're surrounding ourselves with. We have to be the DC current, which nature is what nature has, and it helps. And that once you bring that into the environment on plants like potatoes, your potato bug beetles just leave. They don't like that. So potentially what we're doing is strengthening the immune system of ourselves, our plants, or animals, so that we're not vulnerable to viruses that are coming in, like the colds and flu and bugs, any kind of virus or sickness, bacteria that we can pick up.
Peter, can I break in? Can I ask you a question though?
Yeah.
How do you keep the frequencies strong and refreshed? Remember, these crystals, everyone, whether it's the Defender, the Protector, the Bodyguard, the Revitalizer, that's for huge farms. How do you keep the strength so strong in all of these? I mean, does that ever, can you explain that to people? Because I'm sure they're wondering right now.
Well, yeah, we have a process where I go into the office every morning, and through the process, I ask that is every item we've ever produced connected to what we're doing, to our whole system here. And that's how, when we revitalize or rejuvenate the system, if we're putting in anything that it's going to be a benefit, and believe me, as you go down this road, you're finding all kinds of things. So when I got into this mold and fungus thing, again, it's all gone out to everywhere, where everything that we've ever produced is getting re-energized on a constant basis. One interesting thing was a farmer had a cow, and it was sick, and the vet came out and he said, this cow is full of fungus. He said, so they of course they have to put in on an antibiotic, but we now know you don't have to do that, because we're putting in frequencies which can very accepted by the body. I mean, everything we do, we double checking it that there is no downside before we even let it go, and that's why we will be checking the vitality of cows anywhere in Wisconsin or Illinois or even Ontario to see where their energy is. If there's if there's something interfering with them, their energy drop, then we got to find out what's affecting them. And it could be something like in the water or the air or the food. And this is why it's a constant. Actually, I love it. I love solving problems. That's my whole mission on this whole thing, is to keep making life better and better and better. And this,
you're the pet detective there. Okay, you're the people detective. You're the plant detective. Peter, we've got 10 minutes left, and everybody, I want you to know that tomorrow, which is November the 26th at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, Peter's going to be here to answer all your questions, and we're going to answer them live. But if you want to put the questions underneath, we'll be answering those as well. But we'll be answering all your questions live. And Peter, I know that people really want to do this. I'll let you finish up with some things, but make sure that I want you to go over each of them, right from the Bodyguard to the Defender to the Protector, okay, and the Guardian, and I want you to, and the Revitalizer, and I just want you to go over the specifics and the specs and why we use them, just briefly, if you could do that at the end here, so people can then put their questions together for tomorrow as well. And remember, everybody, what I tell you, Black Friday's coming, and we're going to put these on sale for you. It's an early Christmas present from the Doctor of Detox. Peter, go ahead.
Okay, now we go back to babies for a start. It's not necessary to have the mini pendant on the baby. It could be beside the bed. It could be beside the crib. It could be, it doesn't have to be, as long as that child is within the 15 feet of that thing, is getting the benefits from it. The same as the big Bodyguard. They can also be carried in your pocket. We're even thinking about doing something as far as they could go in a wallet, but then these minis can even be put into a wallet, into a purse. They don't have to wear them, and that would be a great way of.
And the minis, the mini ones, the mini Bodyguards, they have the same power as the big Bodyguards, everyone. So just so you know, okay?
Yeah, but it's just an easy way of popping them into your wallet or your purse and take them with you. So that's two of the things. We get into the protector. Well, it could be, we don't recommend you take it into the bedroom because that could be too much energy. You put it in the center of the house, or but again, you can take it in your car if you want. Your car responds really well because you're putting oxygen and hydrogen into the engine. That going on to that, we are doing research right now. This is unique in that we take an ethanol and we're collecting the carbon from the atmosphere to put in the ethanol with oxygen and hydrogen to produce a superfuel with no emissions.
Wow.
So that's another one of our projects we're working on at the moment, and it's all looking very good. So, but the other thing that's fascinating is these farmers bring in their feed for their cattle or poultry or pigs, and it's got vomitoxins or aflatoxins or microtoxins in the feed from the grain out in the fields. Within a day of pulling through the carbon through that storage, it picks up those toxins and take them down deep in the ground, and within a day there are no more toxins in that food. Can you imagine what we could do with human food, especially? We eat people eat a lot of bread, and it could potentially have funguses in it. It's part of nature. It's everywhere, growing on crops and in the soil and the air.
So how big an area for remember the Bodyguard, that was 7 feet down from your feet, up from your head up, 7 feet out this way and this way for the Bodyguard. So, and then the protector for the house, again, that's 200 feet.
About 200 feet, yeah. And then these ones can do, like I said, up to 50 to 70 acres, depending on what it is. But I think the future of these lie within seniors' homes, schools, and other environments, hospitals possibly, but, there's so much rules and regulations around those that office buildings would be a beautiful place. So if you can keep the environment of your office building healthy and high in oxygen, you'll have a lot better workplace. People will accomplish far more work having that in that building than if they don't. It's just the way it is.
You're talking about the Defender.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because people, they definitely respond to energy. And if you have one negative person in a room, they can drag down the whole room. Whereas if we can keep them all in a positive state, everything is, they can accomplish so much more than what they do today. And we find this with animals are doing the same thing. So, there is a huge future in this energy, especially with a new vertical farms that are being produced in big buildings where they're growing all the vegetables in on shelves. One of these in there would be again, enhancing the quality of the lettuce or tomatoes or whatever is being produced. We have tomatoes and they come out of the garden and they have a tremendous shelf life, whereas the ones that are growing through hydroponics, they don't have a very long health life. So, but you got to bear in mind, everything in nature has a frequency. That includes vitamins, minerals, amino acids, enzymes. All these things can be put into your body in a frequency form that the body actually respond to and react to. And that's one of the things we have to kind of accept, And of course, if you had one of the protectors in your refrigerator and you put a big jug of water in, it would remove the chlorine from it over a short period of time, put oxygen and hydrogen in the water. You'd be drinking. You got to bear in mind, we have to drink a lot of water, and the healthier the water we drink, the better we are.
Yeah, actually,
Okay?
I've drank. Okay, take a look at this. I drank this while Peter was talking. So right now my legs are crossed for a reason. Okay, you can't see that part, but the reality is I drink a lot of structured water. So, Peter, what would you like to leave everybody with before we bring them back tomorrow for the Q&A at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time?
Well, we're coming into a special time of the year with Christmas. And as far as a Christmas gift, what we have here today would be a really wonderful gift, because it would be something that is going to help the health, the environment, and everything else. This would be my way of looking at it, because we're we're all getting older, and we need a little more maintenance we used to. So that's where I am. But I believe, actually they said if you can remove the mold or fungus out of your body, you can extend your life by 20 years. And I'm sure you agree with that.
I absolutely do. I do. Because cancer is a mold, eczema, psoriasis, sinusitis, arthritis. I mean, we could be here all day with the itises.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, that would be my response is birthday gifts, Christmas gifts. These would be a perfect thing to pass your love on to the next person.
And they're actually beautiful looking, so that's really a beautiful gift. You could actually give this to someone and say, I bought you a crystal, and they wouldn't even know what it is, but they would tell you what it is after a while. They'll say that it's affecting them in a positive way. I want everybody to think about this, and then I'm going to pass it back to Peter for his closing statements. But understand something. We're in a really funny period here in this universe, and you need to understand that the greatest energy in the world is human beings. And when you learn how to harness your energy and your frequencies, then guess what? There will be no dis-ease. There will be no negative emotions. You know what? We really need to learn how to master our mind, master our body, but we are light energy frequency beings. And understand something. There's a group out there right now that want to harvest humans and make them into robots. Do you know why? Half robot, half human. They want to harness our beautiful energy. Okay? We can't let them do it. We need to wake up. We need to bring our frequency up so that we feel that we know that we deserve the best. Okay, from now on, we're not taking second best. From now on, we're not doing anything that isn't high vibrational, based on total unconditional love for oneself. What do you think, Peter?
Absolutely. My biggest concern is the negativity that's within North America or around the world as far as that goes. And we are actually getting very advanced energies that we are putting into storage for the near future. I'm talking maybe in a week or two, we'll be introducing them into what we're doing. And these are going to be game changers, because they are from the heart. They are literally from the heart. And they're going to make people really feel loved and healthy, and it's just going to change not only the people but the environment, because your pets will respond, your plants will respond in your homes, the gardens will respond. Everything we're doing here, you're going to see a response.
And Peter, if I can say something, everybody, Peter can verify this, but if there was a new problem, whether it was a chemical, whether it was a frequency, whether it was a virus, Peter's actually, when he can actually reprogram every crystal, bodyguard, defender, protector around the world.
That is correct, yeah. And that's why I started off explaining how these energy grid lines can do go all around the Earth. The Earth is like, it's got a big bubble around it. And once people understand that we don't have to put up with all this pollution, it can be literally harvested and put into a positive state where it actually creates a healthy water, air, soil, food. The food will be just, it tastes different. Actually, we have found that the potatoes we grow, if we boil those potatoes, have mashed potatoes and roast beef or anything else, you do not gain any weight at all. It's the starches that's in the other foods that out of balance. Everything is out of sync, and once you get everything in place and of course these, we'll say we're talking potatoes now, they will weigh 1.5 times more than the conventional ones that are raised with fertilizer. So it's my mission is to try to get government to look at what we can do for the air and the water, and it is not going to cost the citizens nothing, because the farmers, once he make money, he'll be producing a healthier food. He will buy new tractors and new equipment, and the farmers, they don't like money in their pockets, they like to spend. So we would be benefiting the economy greatly by getting rid of a lot of these nasty gases that are in the atmosphere. And we can't, we're not going to stop it. I mean, we're not going to get rid of, we have to heat our houses and drive our cars. It's going to be around. So let's get moving and really take something that's perceived to be negative and put it into a positive light. CO2, if we didn't have CO2, there wouldn't be plants or trees or grass on this planet at all. It's critical to our environment.
Well, that's why, Peter, if I can say something, we have to hit every one of our brothers and sisters around the world, not hit them, but introduce them to this new way of thinking. Because the reality is corporations own the government. When's the last time that you had the government listen to you, Peter?
Not at all.
All right. Keep going.
Not at all. Okay, so, yeah. We can, and actually with these units, where you can make a little difference in your own home, because these are. Let me tell you what happens with a dairy cow. She will absorb 2 pounds of carbon per day from the atmosphere through respiration and through her skin. A chicken will sequester 1 ounce a day. And a human would be, and I've never done the research, but I bet we're able to sequester at least 1 or 2 ounces a day. And if we can bring that into the environment that we're in, we will have healthier bones, healthier muscles, healthier bodies. I'm one of the people, I got off all my medication. I was taking blood pressure medication. I went to pink Hawaiian salt, and that normaled my blood pressure. And of course I had blood sugar, so I focused on cutting out anything with white bread. I'm not going to name any of the buns that you get at the stores, but they are so full of sugar. So I'm now one of the people that when I'm buying bread, I'm looking at the sugar content of every slice of bread. And this is where we have to start looking. What we put in our mouth is what we become. If it's unhealthy, we'll become unhealthy. But if it's healthy, we'll start getting healthy, and we have to do that. Like, you probably wouldn't notice it, but I've lost just about 30 pounds since the last show.
I
And
see. I noticed that, Peter. You know what? It's never too late to learn.
so yeah, this is. But then on the other hand, I've never felt so better. I'm alive and positive, and I'm really looking forward to getting into other years of what how we're going to do it. I mean, to
Well,
be able to create.
let's rock the world, eh? Let's rock the world with crystal energy. That's what we want to do, right?
That's right. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you, Peter. And
thank you.
One last comment you'd like to give to everyone before we meet you back here tomorrow?
Well, I think that we should look in the mirror and say, am I happy with this body? Am I happy with my skin? Because even these funguses, they affect your skin. And mercury actually makes your hair brittle. It falls out. So getting these things out of your body and allow your body to start having the ability to heal. I use a little, because my hair was so dry, I used a little bit of castor oil, and I rubbed that on. But boy, you put a little castor oil on your skin, on your feet, and it really softens your feet up, and your whole body start responding. It's simple. It's better than when I was a kid growing up. My mother would give me a teaspoon of castor oil. Boy, that was hard. We hated to take that stuff in the morning, but it was for our health. Okay.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Peter.
Okay.
So we'll see you tomorrow. I want to thank Peter for joining me today and talk about great information, right? Let's get back to what we truly are, electromagnetic light energy beings. That's what we truly are. You got to get this, everyone. You got to get this. So don't forget, join me tomorrow. I'll be here at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for a live Q&A with my dear friend Peter Webb, okay? Also, next week, we will be joined by Jay Lee for Advanced Water Fasting, the Ion Connection, on Tuesday, December the 1st at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, and then again on Wednesday at 3 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for autoimmune diseases and the Ion Connection, all right? And don't forget, everyone, we're still doing our personal treatment trainings here at the Dock of Detox in Kelowna, British Columbia. And we will come to you anywhere around the world to do a personal treatment and training and teach you the Wolfe non-surgical, or we'll come and we'll certify your clinic how to do the most powerful body work in the world. And that I can guarantee you. And also, don't forget about our consultations. Remember something, you need a strategy. Somebody's been strategizing against us right now. Never noticed? Well, guess what? What if we could give you a strategy from the minute you woke up till you went to bed called The Perfect Day? Check that out. Check out consultations at thedockofdetox.com at the top of the page and sign yourself up today and let us become your coaches. Let us become your guides. And just know this, January the 9th, I will be doing a 21-day certification in Wolfe Non-Surgical and Whole Life Coach. And as of February, haven't got the date yet, we'll be doing our first online Whole Life Coach certification around the world, okay? And you're going to be getting the best training of your life for 8 days. It'll be an 8-day online training with me in person, no tapes, the real thing, okay? And that's about it. And everybody, I want to thank you. Don't forget, everyone, every Monday you can join me for my live Doc Talk Q&A. And when watching on YouTube, don't forget to subscribe and below, and make sure you click on the bell to have notifications when the next show is. And understand something, all our shows, they're all time-stamped, okay? All our Q&As are all time-stamped. So if you're looking for a topic or you're looking for a question, you can go right to that question. You'll find that on YouTube. And when you want to download my audios, every show I do, everything I do, you can download. You can put it on your iPhone or put it on whatever you listen to. And you can go to iTunes, Spotify, or SoundCloud. Again, I'd like to thank my dear friend, Peter Webb, amazing inventor. Seriously, let's harness crystal energy. Right, we got this. God bless everyone. Take care. And just know that the power to heal is yours. Okay? Stop giving away. Get it back. 3, 2, 1, you got this, Braveheart. If you're looking for life-saving and life-changing information, well, you've come to the right place. Don't forget to click and subscribe. Stay connected.